How's everybody doing tonight? Salute to Larry. Definitely supporting me. I appreciate it. Give me a one in the chat if you can hear me. Give me a one in the chat if you can hear me. I gotta fix my chair tonight. I might run to Lowe's real quick. But hopefully everybody's doing well today. I think it's supposed to snow in the Midwest, so that's going to be kind of interesting. I think that was tomorrow. I need to check that. Oh, man. So you said we're going to talk a little bit about AWS Audit Manager. Let me check on my... What's up, Ty? Glad you can join me. You know, I'm struggle streaming. Check on my LinkedIn real quick. I need to do a little better on my LinkedIn. Shout out to LinkedIn. Let's see. Audit Manager. You know how we do it. Give me a one in the chat if you can hear me. Yeah, give me a one in the chat. Let's see. Whew, sorry, I was on LinkedIn. They're a little behind. So they rolling over there. So that's good. Get over in there. Then we'll get started. So check on my LinkedIn. Let's get it started. Once again, if you got any questions, tech-wise or cybersecurity, Purview. You talking about litigation inside Azure, Microsoft's Purview? View, I think that was. If you're talking about inside Microsoft. Shout out. Got some love on LinkedIn. I think Min-Min's over there too. So yeah, I used to do electronic litigations using Purview, doing lit hold stuff. I used to do that a long time ago. Let me know if that's what you're talking about. I wanted to do some automation and I just never got around to it. So yeah, I think that's what you're referring to. So we talk about AWS Audit Manager, talking about GRC inside AWS. That's going to be my goal, is actually start labbing with those products. I'm just actually talking about the individual service. Then we're going to talk about how we're going to lace them up and and start labbing with them. So AWS Audit Manager, you have some EC2s, some load balancers, gateways, some databases. We talked about assessments. We talked about AWS config. So where you do your assessments, where do you store that information at, right? Audit Manager is supposed to be the pane of glass for AWS config, AWS licenses, all those things where you collect artifacts for your assessment. AWS Config Manager, they believe, is going to be the place for it. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. You see that continuous audit for your AWS usage to simplify your assess risk and compliance. You know, that's what we really talk about in GRC. And the other part about that is continuously monitor. And part of that continuously monitor something is compliance. So if you CMC, IRS, Pub 1075, HIPAA, High Trust, SOC 2, all right, you want to continue to monitor to make sure no engineer took something off or weakened your setup that you were previously ATO given authority to operate. So this is continuous compliance. We're going to look at the slide later on where we talk about how do we add on to continuous monitor with continuous compliance. Right? What does it actually look like and what does it actually mean? So you see it there, continuous audit, AWS simplify your risk and compliance assessment, select a framework, choose from, and we're going to look at the pre-built frameworks in there. A couple I need is missing, so we're going to talk about how do we make a copy and actually improve that or do custom auditing. Do custom auditing. So I pre-built with included controls, and that's create your own custom framework. A lot of times when you work in people harmonize controls. When I was at the state, we did the STIGs and IRS Pub 1075, right? So that's kind of a custom built. Why is it custom built? Because the STIGs might be harder security than the STIGs might be. So you got to figure out which one is more secure between those two and build you a custom framework. So we'll actually do that in the lab coming up. Not today, but coming up. So define and specify in scope accounts and services in the regions you want to assess. So, and we look up there, an AWS organization, they have accounts that own specific tasks, own specific regions. So those accounts you really want to do assessment on. Because part of that, right, is your privileged accounts, your non-privileged accounts. What is too many privs, right? We're supposed to be least privileged. So we can define that with our account usage. Then you see right there, second, activate the assessment to continuously gather evidence. Audit manager conducts automated evidence collection. Conduct control reviews or delegate to resource owners. Identify root cause, filter and group your data. And we're going to look at the reports where they show root causes and but we saw some of that, which this product used. AWS Config does some of that on AWS services. So it actually uses some underlying products to pull those artifacts and evidence into Audit Manager. Once again, identify root causes, filter and group your data to deep dive into causes of non-compliance, generate reports, create edit-ready assessment reports with link to evidence. So a lot of times when you go to engineering, they want to say what the problem is, what's the EC2, what's my host name, because they really want to drill down in there. In the scheme of things too, right? You probably use an Active Directory. You want to use some OUs, right? Put your security templates on your OUs. Then you put those systems, EC2s, into those OUs. Then they get that security hardening. We're going to dig down in that as far as doing assessments. But that's kind of Audit Manager in a nutshell. But we're going to keep digging in. Once again, if you got any questions. Oh, got some questions. Oh man, Ty, I've been thinking of pivoting from wanting to do pen test to compliance, but I still enjoy pen testing world. I would like to red team. Yeah, I think you can do that because part of compliance is we got to do a pen test annually internal. Then we got to do a external pen test. NIST 800, come take my course I got coming up. But yeah, so no, that's not a bad thing, Ty, because they actually go together. Because a lot of times on our compliance team, which I'm kind of weak in, I can run some automated tests, pen tests, but I'm not doing anything super novel, right? I'm hitting a button and watching the report come out, right, from a pen test. They got a lot of cool, using MITRE, they got a lot of cool products to help you pen test, but I wouldn't consider myself at the pen test, especially shout out to Alpha Cyber, one of the big dogs that interviewed me years ago. At his level, when they talk about pen tests, I'm definitely not there. But that will be put those two skills together. I think that would be definitely a win-win. Because we kind of talked about that. Pen testing is kind of unique. And we usually don't, most companies I work for, we never had that skill set in-house. So, and a lot of times too, they want you to pay for an external test. So, all right, shout out to Speed Love. Yep, get my likes up. Get my likes up now. Shout out to Larry. So let's see what LinkedIn are going over there. Hi, Profess. I am a GRC. Yep. Third party risk management. You can come check out my playlist. I got a couple third party. Yep, I've probably been doing it for a decade. Presently, I'm taking 3 months course on AWS. That's cool. I've been trying to integrate the skills. I'm acquiring a GRC. Could you please explain how I can do that? Yeah, I just kind of talked about it. We can kind of delve in there and at the end too. If you want to come up, you can. But yeah, I could definitely talk about that. And I've actually got 4 AWS certs. I don't know if you knew here, but most people know I have 4 AWS certs because as a GRC compliance, especially third party risk, most of my vendors I used to review when I was at the state was in AWS or Azure. So I got the AWS practitioner, beginner. I got the associate architect, associate developer, and a security specialty. I missed the SysOp by I think 10 questions, 11 questions. So my goal in 2025 is get the SysOp, get the I think I got a practitioner for AI and get the data engineering associate. But once again, going through this helps you with the GRC. Once again, most of the vendors I review are in AWS. So I need to understand regions. I need to understand availability zones. I need to understand DR. I need to understand the different databases they got, DynamoDB, Aurora, the Postgres, MySQL, because from a third-party risk, you got to make sure they're securing it right. Your vendors are at the level of security you're at. So at a high level, we can talk a little bit more. And then, so that's how AWS. Then these, we talked about AWS, which we talked about Audit Manager, AWS Config. You could pick your compliance, NIST. I'm a NIST guy, 853, CMC, IRS Pub 1075. It'll go through your infrastructure and give you those findings. You know, if you got findings, you got to create poems, mitigation control. You can close with a poem. So you still have to do all that GRC paperwork. And in design, let me know if I missed. I know I messed your name up. I apologize. Let me know if that's answering. We can dig a little more at the end. So that's how I take my AWS and combine it. The two, I got to watch AWS engineers. A lot of times we develop in software. We got to make sure they're doing a application development software. Purple Team Security, if you want to Google that. So once again, that's a piece of AWS. So let's keep rolling. We could definitely dig more into that in the end. So let's dig down more into Audit Manager. Audit Manager has AWS Service Compliance. Reporting that will help the IT audit preparations. When I was at the state, Booz Allen would come out and do an on-site audit every 3 years. So we have to get the artifacts ready for them to come in and hit us. All our databases, our infrastructure, our scope of work, policy configure, our big plans, incident response, configuration management, continuous monitoring. Con is super, but that's all the things will happen when we got an audit. The services focus on prepackaged reporting. We're going to look at a couple of those reports at the end. For internal and external auditors, I've been both. So I've been internal and external. The service consolidates compliance data with AWS Config. We did a video on that. AWS Security Hub, I think that was coming up. Collect audit evidence via API calls to services. Once again, you get pre-built framework, custom frameworks. And we're going to talk about 2 of those. I think we're going to do probably in the lab to do a custom framework. Automated evidence collection, looking into your logs, making sure your AI set up. Once again, password history, password length. Make them rotate every 60 days, even though I don't think that's a good practice anymore. But what does that look like? Multi-account evidence, delegation of workflow, meaning you want to give your compliance team read-only access into certain workflows. Search for evidence, audit-ready reports, and third-party risk assessments. And that's what DeLonghetti was talking about, right? Third-party risk management. So you can actually take your audit manager, link into their accounts on the vendors, then you can run third-party scans on their infrastructure, right, for your assessment, right, to make sure you're comfortable. Or they can give you delegation access into their region and to their accounts, right? Then you could do your third-party assessment that way. So there's a number of things. Audit manager. Once again, we're getting our labs ready so we can start labbing on that in real life, so we can see what that actually look like. So some of the pre-built stuff in there, you see Audit Manager, pre-built. My favorite one right there is this 800-53R5. We usually at the moderate. There's a lot of HIPAA work going on there. Security roles, CIS benchmark is popular, even though I'm a STIG guy. GDPR is happy. I'm not happy with GDPR. Shut out with them. That's happy. But those are some of the pre-built. And here's all of the pre-built. Oh, that I had a slide. Here's all the pre-built things they have right there. I'll let you scan through that. But my favorite ones will be the AWS benchmarks, the NIST 800-53R5, NIST 800-171. Everybody's doing CMC, which is hot for DoD. NIST 800-R71, I think, plus 20 controls equals CMC. PCI-DS is credit cards. I'm not a big fan of those, but FedRAMP is in there. So let's talk about shared responsibility, right? In the cloud, what you're responsible for as a customer, what's AWS is responsible for. You as a third party should know, I need to get this documentation from AWS, or I need to get this type of documentation from the customer. So let's keep running. Okay. Oh, let me get back in there, checking on my LinkedIn, but it's flowing through. Let's get back over. Okay. So we always talk about shared responsibility. You as a third-party risk management or GRC person or all of the above, even if you are a developer, DevOps, SysOps, right? You need to understand this. That's the cool thing. When you go to the cloud, some of your responsibility goes to AWS, which is in the orange, right? So if you're EC2, right, they're managing the hardware, software, but you got all the stuff in the blue. If you run an Amazon RDS, right, they're controlling the database, they're set it up. So those are everything in orange, the platform management, the network firewalls, the compute storage, the hardware. You're responsible for customer data, network traffic protection, client-side data encryption, and firewall configuration management. And the other part, client-side data encryption, S3 bucket. So, and two, if you run an Amazon S3 bucket, which they control everything in orange, they control, right? Server-side encryption, networking, they control putting your customer data in there, and you can actually encrypt it before you put it in there, right? Less customizable, less customer responsibility, more built-in best practices. Probably 10 years ago, I would be like, you got to have it in your data center to be secure. You got to be controlling it. But as I get in this business and I see top-level security guys, I just went to an AWS event on site, which I very really like to eat in my house. But AWS has about 2,000 top security guys on the planet, right? That's going to be better than your 3 dudes in the garage, right? So I think security in the cloud is probably much more secure than mostly on-prem. Because most people don't have the talent, especially if you have a diverse technology stack. That's a lot of things to master. AWS got an army of people, right? So, and there's a few guys I know work that I used to work out with DoD. I'm going to have them on the platform. I'm going to get them in here so we can ask some questions, help us laugh, right? So we can get it right. But once again, GRC, third-party risk management, shout out to her. She's been doing that for 4 years. And I do a third-party risk show, usually Friday lunchtime, lunch and learn, Eastern. I'm thinking about doing DPA, data processing agreement, and looking at contracts on Friday. I haven't actually done it. I've kind of laid it out. I ain't gonna lie, PBO tired. But let's keep rolling. If you got any more questions, drop them in the chat. PBO mumbling tonight. Let's get it together. Once again, those are the audit managers. When you want to scan your infrastructure, you can pick one of these compliances and they'll do it. A lot of times you can pick multiple compliance. You probably want to have some PCI DSS if you're doing credit cards. If you're doing work for hospitals, get your HIPAA. We need to get our high trust in there. If you were doing business with standard PII, I probably would do the CIS benchmarks with the CIS control stack. I always do AWS operational best practice. And you know, if you're doing Fed work, we're going to do that FedRAMP, which is NIST 800-53 in the cloud. FedRAMP security baseline R4. We need to get that to R5. And I would throw a little GDPR in there for privacy. So once again, you have it run through your infrastructure. And we'll look at the report to give you your findings. You tell you what you need to fix, put in a poem, put it in a mitigating control, or you can accept the risk, right? And we're going to talk a little bit more. And everybody know I probably got 80 hours of a compliance playlist if you want to go check some of that out. So the custom framework, you see it right there. Audit Manager allows customization of existing pre-built frameworks, a creation of custom controls and custom frameworks from scratch. You can define custom controls to collect evidence. And then AWS Manager offers a library of common control that helps you customers quickly navigate and replicate their own enterprise controls. We looked at some of those. And also we have videos, API calls, cloud trails, configuration rules, security hub checks. Those are the services kind of behind the scenes to pull that evidence in, right? And that's what the auditors want to see as part of your assessment. Shout out to Space Taco. We're always talking about assessment and getting those right. The mappings are updated automatically. If a new AWS config rule is launched, the rule will be added to the relevant common controls. As a result, evidence mapping against a common control provides the latest set of automated evidence available in AWS. That's one reason I like it. The two controls that I love using is IRS Pub 1075. A lot of people know I worked for the State Department of Revenue for a decade. Then CMC, I came from DOD. Those wasn't in the list, right? So, but once again, we could create that with custom controls because CMC is the NIST 171 with about 20 more controls. So we could create our own custom CMC controls. Then the IRS Pub 1075 is actually the CIS benchmark plus, I want to say 30 more controls. So one of the labs we're going to do is make a copy of that. Make a copy and create our IRS Pub 1075, going to map those extra controls. And the weird thing is AWS config rules have IRS Pub 1075 in there. So I don't know if they haven't built them yet or we need to just bring those in, but that's one of the labs we're going to do is create an IRS Pub 1075 AWS Auditor Manager to track those to track your controls, your mapping, your evidence inside Audit Manager. So that's one of the labs we got to get on. Automated evidence collection. Once an assessment has been defined and launched, Manager automatically collects data from your AWS accounts that define to be in scope for your audit. The evidence contains both data captured and the resources as well as the metadata indicating which control the data supports to help you demonstrate your security, change management, business continuity, software license compliance, right? So when you do that, you pick one of those pre-built. A lot of people forget about software licenses. Or is your software licenses up to date? Or are you a criminal stealing it, right? So, but once again, AWS helps you because it has the standard best practices to help you get that evidence. Then right there, you see it once again, AWS service might be using AWS config, AWS Security Hub, AWS License Manager. You can also manually upload evidence such as policy, training transcript, architectural diagram to stay organized. So that's what I want to do in the lab is put those policy documents in from this 800-53, right? We talked about there. They got the 20 families. We talked about there Tuesday at 9. We went over the maintenance subfamily. We were talking about that. So putting that documentation up there so it's one place. So when your auditors come in like Space Tacos, you can just give a read access and all your documentation will be in there, right? Architectural diagrams, MOUs, plans, policies, procedures, SOPs, getting them all in there so they're in one place for when you get an audit, right? So you're ready to rock and roll and you're going to get a great grade on your audit. I've had good grades on the audit and bad grades on the audit. So my first audit, I'll never forget, I think we had like 10,000 findings. It was something crazy, but that's how you learn. See what my man Ty's talking about. You think 3 weeks is enough time? Oh, yeah. Yep. Because AWS practitioner, which is, I thought it helped me out a lot. You actually learning the most popular services, really. Just kind of getting a feel for the most popular services and kind of at a high level how they went. If you got time, because you like me, you got great study habits. So yeah, you can actually dig into that. That's mostly more of a memorization thing. I got to get it together. Let's see what's checked on my LinkedIn. Y'all know I'm over here struggle streaming. Let's see. I got a couple people on LinkedIn. Most of my audience is on YouTube. But I definitely want to give everybody a shout out tonight. If you can, even if you're just a beginner, and I tell a lot of beginners this, most people frown up, start your YouTube channel, because once you start, go live, I'd probably get hit up with recruiters about once a month. They look at my channel, that makes them look at my curriculum vitae. Shout out to GRC study table. My resume looked like it was from 2005. I'm finally getting it upgraded, so trying to make it happen. Don't be teasing me, man. I be messing words. Shout out to Luke J. PBL be struggling sometimes. Shout out to me, though. Give myself a shout out. So once you get on there too, then they have a thing called YouTube has it. I forgot to turn. They push it out to so many people to see if they're gonna look at your video. So if you look on my LinkedIn, my videos for the last week together has been pushed out to 2,000 people to get them to look at. They said it was 200 recruiters. I think they trying to get me to upgrade to the premium, but yeah, it says and I actually had a recruiter hit me up with a job. So you know me, Buff Luke J. So I definitely recommend, even if you're learning. Shout out to I don't want to mess her name up. She's trying to get her AWS. I think she should get her YouTube account and start, talking about her journey and getting there. Shout out to C. Allen. Appreciate you. Hey, Ken, definitely one of the day one. Salute to PBO in the chat. I appreciate. So let's keep going, right? Delegation of work. Delegate control to a set of team members who specialize in certain areas. Like you can have a network infrastructure, identity management, software licenses, personnel policy. So you can divide it up. And most times you have a GRC team, even if it's small, 2 or 3 people. People are specialize in stuff like, I can write a policy. It's a lot better with ChatGPT, but I work with some killer policy writers. I need to work on that game. So people usually specialize and stuff. But yeah, we're gonna do a working session probably soon. I usually do them at night, and we're gonna actually use ChatGPT to write some NIST policies, to write a standard configuration management plan, and kind of put those together. Hopefully we have AWS I'm audit manager up there, so we can upload those documents in there, right? So we can figure out how it works. So you can search for evidence. Audit managers more easily allow you to sift through thousands of pieces of collected evidence from multiple disparate sources using search filters and grouping identity trends to cross-reference issues. This will help you deep dive into issues identified via flag compliance checks in the services. AWS Manager Dashboard. We're going to look at some stuff in there. In the CSV, I love putting stuff in spreadsheets. I need to stop that. So I'm trying to put them up in spreadsheets and put them up in Power BI Dashboard, right? Because I like to do dashboards for management. You can give them access to, they can see how many findings, how many of them are high, how many low. You can start assigning yourself a risk category inside that dashboard, right? So that's kind of where I'm hoping to be in 2025 and actually start labbing that way. I actually bought some Udemy stuff on sale to work on my Power BI skills. I'm getting decent in Power Automate, so I want to use that to push data into Power BI, then use Power Automate for email reminders, building stuff in dashboards, putting stuff in spreadsheets, doing automation for policies to get signed and checked into SharePoint. That type of automation, so we can get out of spreadsheets and start using the tools we have. So it's going to be short. Like I said, this is kind of audit ready reports. We just talked about collecting them, control. You got the framework. It's going to put them in a final assessment report to share with your auditors. The final assessment report contains a summary file on your assessment and provides a link to organized set of folders containing your related evidence. And that's what we talked about doing. The thing there is, and I get asked a lot, I haven't done a ton of these because I usually work for a compliance director or a CISO. They don't let PBO write very often. Shout out to me. So I put data in the final report. I've just never produced a lot of final reports. I've seen a lot of final reports. I've just never done that. So we're going to use this tool to help us do a standard final report so we can see what that looks like. A lot of people ask me about what should it look like. I can usually pull some out for the net, but to be honest, I usually turn the data over. I do the grunt work. I usually don't get the pretty work of doing the final report. All right. So there you see third-party risk assessment. Provides features that help you reduce the manual effort of that. Framework sharing features that allow you to share custom frameworks with your vendors in accordance with your organizational compliance. Create an assessment. We're going to look at that a little bit. An audit manager and assessments collected evidence of controls within the scope. We see the second bullet point, create vendor risk assessment questionnaire. Some people ask me about a questionnaire. You can share them with your vendors and partners. Years ago, I used to work for a company. That questionnaire was like 60 questions, right? A lot of vendors push back on that now. If you're not at a certain dollar point, they're not asking your questionnaire. A lot of those do have SOC 2 type reports for you to look at, risk assessment, fair ramp, ATOs to look at. So a lot of the bigger companies, they're like, we're not doing your questionnaire. Here's our SOC 2 type 2. This should answer 90% of your point. Now, if you got a few square questions that we didn't answer in none of our SOC 2 or GDPR reports or fair ramp reports, they might ask them, but a lot of times they're pushing back. Vendors can also export all the automated evidence in the AWS to a CSV. We'll look at the CSV and what that would look like. Once again, let me know if you got any questions. Questions? We rolling. So we'll drop the link. Like I said, we're trying to do a little shorter videos. Shout out to Chris Whitlock. My videos be too long. Shout out to him. Let's keep going. Compliance, automation, maturity. We talked about that. Compliance efficiency, reduction in errors and cost and in time. Because you got your pre-built, you got your custom, and then you just have them running. Then that's going to create your artifacts, create your list, and you can just export it and give it to your auditor. Compliance as a differentiator in scope and compliance as a service. A lot of times, if you're running a business and you're trying to sell it, people are asking you for a compliance report. What's your findings? Are you at a certain level where you think you could be NIST 800-53R5? Because if they're trying to get an ATO and they're using you as a third party, you got to be at the same level. Because if they get audited, they're going to audit their third party vendors, right, to make sure they're in compliance. Compliance future proofing, address new compliance regulations, address new technologies, leverage the power of the cloud to your benefit. All right, shout out to AWS. That's one of the reports. We'll dig into it. Let me see if we got any questions. Let y'all percolate on that a little bit. So that's a daily snapshot. I probably wouldn't run this daily because I'm sure you get charged. I didn't look at the price of that. So usually what I do is really run it once a month, or if I'm going to run it, usually we run a Terraform, CloudFormation, or something. So you running it off of one image, and it gets built off that one image for all your EC2s. All your app servers get built off of EC2, right? So whatever that gold image is, if it's 3 or 4 images, we'll just spin that up in a compliance VPC. Then we can just scan 1 or 2 of those because we know that's the gold image, and everything should be built off of that. All right. So let's be super specific. That's a compliance scan. Now we might do some vulnerability scan because if the hacker get in there, they might change something on that image, right? So we're talking about a compliance scan. Let's don't confuse that with a security scan, right? Those are 2 separate things. So let's keep rolling. So you see that be a daily shot. Controls with non-compliance evidence. They said it was 350. Non-compliance evidence. They went through log files, S3 buckets. They went to 2,157 pieces of evidence. Active assessment is 19. You see down there, they have 7. Non-compliance evidence is 59, and they were running a HIPAA assessment. Kind of helped it out with your name. So that's kind of how you would pre-build it in Audit Manager and let it do its thing. Yeah, I think it's cost feasible. Like I said, I would do it off of gold images, meaning usually if your web servers are built off an image. So even if you got 50 web servers, they built off the same image. So I would just scan the one image, right? Because Hopefully our DevOps and our configuration management has that locked down. So if we have an application server image, I would just scan the gold image because everything's built off of that. Same thing from your database and your EC2. So even if we got 5,000 EC2s, it's usually built off of 4 or 5. So I would just scan those 4 or 5 to keep your costs down from that particular image, right? Could create you an account for scanning with your gold image. So that's kind of how I would make that cost feasible, right? Especially from a compliance standpoint, not a security standpoint, but from a compliance standpoint. That's how I would do it. Once again, controls with non-compliant evidence grouped by control domains. So you see that log monitor, 10 of the 88, you see it in red. So that would help you with your dashboards, and you as a compliance team would tell you what you need to go look at. Right, if the 10 of 88, then 2 in there, I'm sure they got different risk level, high, medium, low level. It's kind of like the CVEs. 0's good, 10 is high, so I'm sure you can drill it down to that. But once again, you can create your dashboards for your compliance team and your C-suite. So once again, you see it up there. PCI DS is the type, description. Looking at an S3 bucket where the report destination is. Total evidence, if you look, that's number 4. The total number of evidence items that are collected for the assessment. That's a crazy amount of evidence. So assessment report selection, they didn't set one. It shows you they created the last time it was updated and if it was active, right? So you would have that continuously running and going into your S3 bucket and getting that data and looking at those reports. Right, I'm with Tidal. That's a lot of evidence, so I would have to figure out what's the cost of that and if that was feasible. Once again, I wouldn't let it scan my whole infrastructure, especially starting out. The 2 is this is kind of continuous compliance / monitoring setup. So you as the client will go through the API gateway. A Lambda is just some code running in the background. Step function just say if this happens, goes to this step. If we saw there, puts your evidence in the S3 bucket. We would encrypt it with the key, so only the people that could get to that key could see the evidence. So if a hacker actually got in their bucket and their account couldn't access the KMS keys, it wouldn't be able to read it. Then the step function would actually put that data into your AWS Audit assessment. Once again, if we noticed that there wasn't a CMC assessment or IRS pub, so we can use the step function to help us build that. Then the SNS would send out an email or put it in a Lambda function or a system manager and create a dashboard out of it. That's what you can use the SNL's topic. So this is what you can use with Audit Manager to do some continuous compliance in there. Once again, these are some of the labs we hope to do in the future, so we can actually build them and run them and watch people get email and look at the assessment and the findings that was up there. So let's see. Once again here, all right, we had 359 compliant devices. The evidence was that active. 2, we would have that on the dashboard and keep rolling. 2 is your shared responsibility. You as a GRC person needs to understand what is AWS is responsible for. This is by service too, and what you are responsible for as a GRC customer, because you got to get that paperwork ready for the auditors and see what that happens. So let me drop the link if anybody wants to come up. Like I said, I just want to start hitting some of the AWS services. Then we start building some labs on there once we start understanding those services. Let's see. See if anybody have any more questions. If anybody want to come up and ask questions, that's cool. Like I said, happy hump day. People are going to try to take some time off. Take some time off. Rest, get ready for Turkey Day. PBO got to go on a diet in 2025. He hasn't had a good year. I've been eating good, but I got to get in better shape. PBO got to get it together. But once again, hanging out, see if there's any more questions, see if I missed any questions. Definitely chopped it up. With the AWS. I think AWS is the top dog, even though I think Azure in the next 5 years probably pass them. But I'm definitely big on AWS. I think the future is multi-cloud. So you as a GRC person needs to understand really the big three, but you got to pick one. AWS is not a bad one to start on. Obviously, that's the one I picked. With my certifications, once again, I got to get back into the labs and start doing at a higher level. Oh man, I am tired. Take me a nap. Excuse me. It's not good. Oh, you talked about last. When do you have this plan? I probably 2025 to be honest. I probably start squid. I probably 2025. I've been talking about them for a while, but most people know I'm actually working on a course with Dr. Ozier, so I'm gonna definitely do some labs in there. But I want to do some stuff free too. Everybody, kind of for that course or course life. So we definitely gonna have some of the labs in the YouTube. So definitely. Probably probably in December. I'm gonna put a little pressure on me, Luke, since you asked. Because I need to start doing the labs, because I need to start doing. So I probably do AWS config. Probably I don't want to say what my birthday is in December, but probably around my birthday in December, I'm gonna do an AWS config lab. I'm gonna put that on my list. Get my little list down. Chris been getting on me by my list. Shout out to him. Do my little list here. AWS lab, config lab. I'm gonna create a 3-tier architecture, then scan it for the AWS config. Probably for the CIS checks, which is a good starter for the IRS checks. So I think that's gonna be the place. So let's look at the 3-tier thing we're gonna set up for the lab. So we're gonna do a web tier. I think we can spin up some Apache, just stuff here at that level. We probably won't do the back end. We'll just scan it, put it in 2 different data centers, AC1 and AC2. Both of them will be in the same availability zone for that region. So that's probably what we'll build. Then we'll scan one without it being hardened, then harden it at the end and rescan it. Then we can talk about findings we had, findings we closed, poems we can create. So we'll do that in December. I'm gonna do that in December. So I'm gonna write that down. Shout out to Luke. We're gonna make that happen. Shout out to Aiken. We'll get our lab on. So that's gonna be my goal in December. So I'm hoping this weekend to start recording for the course. So make that happen. Like I said, gotta do some free stuff though. Money's not infinite. So I'll hang out a little longer, see if anybody have any questions. Check out my playlists on my channel. I got a ton of compliances. A lot of them are based on this 800, 171. I think last time I looked, I think I got 80 hours worth of compliance stuff on there. So trying to get to 100. I don't know why. That just kind of jumped in my mind. I got to go fix my chair and go get a Allen octave wrench. So I'm gonna go to Lowe's and buy me one real quick. Get down, brother. How much was the cloud practitioner test? Oh my God. I want to say it was 70, 80. The two, once you sign up, a lot of times when you take one, they give you 50% on the next one. So it wasn't too bad. Yeah, I've been trying to go to Planet Fitness a little bit. So trying to do that. Getting my walking on, jogging a little bit on the treadmill, squatting a little bit, trying to slowly getting it back together. I'm almost 60 though, so everything's a little harder when you get a little 60. So I drop the link one more time if anybody wants to come up. If not, no pressure. No pressure. You can always reach out to me. I need to go check my email. ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. I said that I need to go check my email. Make sure I know my email. I ain't checked in a couple weeks. I just been kind of tired. Let's see if anybody reached out to me. Nope, somebody wanted to collab with me. Okay, I need to do some Route 53. I need to register myself, I guess. What was this? Oh, yesterday. Hmm. I don't know. Somebody's asking me to team up for some product. I usually don't do that. I'll look at that later. That was yesterday. Yeah, I don't usually team up with very many products. Oh, that's my man, commenting on one of my videos. Shout out to him. Let's check and see if we got anything, or we're gonna shut it on down. I appreciate that, Luke, but I'm gonna put you on my list. We're gonna definitely get our AWS Config Lab rocking. So that's one thing we're gonna do. Gotta make sure I don't give myself a big bill though. Gotta double check on that. Would you build the lab like Dr. Ozu did with the GRC component? I think so, because I'm following his model. So I need to go figure out how he did his labs. Did you like his labs, Aiken? Because I'm actually gonna put it on his platform. Did you like how he did his labs, Aiken? So I'm actually I'm modeling mine after his. Of course, with the PBO got to have his own spin. Let me know if you liked his labs. Because I know we were talking about I got to do some quizzes after some of my sections in there. I'm gonna try to do at least 25 hours for the intro class. That's gonna be my goal. So, which I think for me is easy. I'm kind of long-winded. I got to make sure I chop them down in like 10 minutes. Aiken, you know me, I could talk all day. So I think the new is smaller increments and put them down in labs. Yes, I did. Very simple and easy to use. Okay, I probably set mine up like that. I got to figure out. At least keep them cheap. Hopefully, you have have new emails you can use, so you can use AWS free for a year. If not, I'm still gonna make them super cheap. Where if you want to run them, they shouldn't cost you more than $5. If you run a lab, spin it up, run it, and shut it right down. So probably use SAM or Cloud Formation. You click on it, it builds your infrastructure like you have on the screen. Click a button, run your AWS manager, look in those managers, see what's happening, then tear it all down with a click of a button. So that's going to be my goal, but yeah. So my goal is to definitely get those lives. So see, we'll make that happen. Once again, if y'all get any more questions, just let me know. Give me a shout out if you want me to do something like Luke did. Try to do a lab. Put that somewhere else so I don't lose it. So let's see, I cleaned up my office. Oh, you said you gotta have a clean office, so I clean up my office all day, so I can get ready to do these videos. My office wasn't bad because you can't see most of it, but I've been cleaning up my office all day, so I can get ready to do these videos. So we're gonna try to go hard. I appreciate that, Aiken. I was talking to my man Chris. I need to organize a little better. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate. I try to get back to the community, man. The community was good to me when I was younger. So now I'm an old guy, so I'm trying to pass it on. Really appreciate that, Aiken. Well, I'm out. Reach out to me. I'm always in Discord for Simply Cyber, so you can definitely catch me in there. Discord for Simply GRC Study Hall. I'm in a lot of Discords, but those are the two main ones. So if you add Professor Black Ops in there, that's like the back signal. Let's see. Man, people need to get up and get my. I was monetized. I got demonetized. I got to get remonetized. So yeah, I'm working on that in 2025. YouTube didn't like how I was doing my news videos. I guess I wasn't adding a lot of content to it, so they demonetized. But they demonetized a lot of people for that. Shout out to my young guy before the billion. So we were chatting about that. He just got his remonetization. So I'm there. I need 4,000 watch hours, Larry. I think I'm at 3,300. So one reason I start going live more to help me get those watch hours. The crazy thing is you need 11 hours of watch time a day to be getting monetized in a year. So it's a lot. So you got to get your line again. Come and check me out. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go over DPAs, data process agreements. I'll probably do that thumbnail tonight. We're going to talk about the legal part of GRC, talking about contracts, cyber insurance, termination of convenience, breach notifications. A lot of times you read them, the breaches are one-sided. If you get them breached, you got to spend $1 million. If they get you breached, they just gonna refund your money. I'm like, dude, I'm only paying $10,000 for this a year. Your breach is gonna cost me $4 million. That's not a fair trade, right? What is your Discord link? Oh shit. Let me try to. I struggle with that. Let me see if I can grab it real quick. Where's Chris at when I need him? Let me see if I can. Let me see. Study GRC. I'm using the GRC team live. Copy a link. Let's see if it'll let me paste it in there. Let me see. Oh shit, it's not letting me paste it. Oh, there it is, I think. I think that's it in there. When is the contract conversation happening? Oh, tomorrow, Friday noon EST, Eastern Standard Time noon. So we're gonna go over data processing agreement. I did one where we looked at Trello. If you uploaded your data in Trello, we're gonna see if it's still there. You gave me a worldwide license to use your data. We were like, no, we're not doing that. So we look at Trello's DPA, data processing agreement, or user agreement. Then I think in there, what they did is they did their standard abbreviations and their standard definitions, right? And that's it that way in a lot of contracts. So we're gonna touch on that a little bit. So Friday noon Eastern time, PBO's channel. I'm gonna do the thumbnail tonight. It's from third party. It's gonna be from my third party risk management. I'm doing a lunch and learn. I said that. Let me check my schedule. Make sure ain't nobody set a meeting. Tentatively, if not, it's gonna be between 11 and 1. But I'm gonna try noon. I haven't checked my schedule yet, so I might be off too. Let me see. I'm trying to take some vacation time. So we go see. That's what it is tentatively though. So until you can always check the replay, Alan Jones, if you can't get there. But that's my goal. Friday, noon Eastern time. Check PBO off. We getting our third party assessment. And I work with a ton of attorneys. I used to work with a ton of attorneys. So that's one thing that I would never do. And I start sending them, they like, that's a good catch. I'm like, shout out to PBO. I'm pretty good. So I started finding out a lot about a legal term. So I consider myself a paralegal in contracting, right? Let's be super specific from the cybersecurity and the compliance standpoint. Because now people are talking about GDPR, they're talking about privacy, they're talking about NIST, FedRAMP, CMC. So there's a cybersecurity part to RFPs and vendors now that you need to review. Right, because they need to be at the same level you are. Because if you get audited and they're not at the same level you, they're gonna mess your ATO up, which is authority to operate. I've been talking about you, Space Taco. Where you been? Shout out to Space Taco. Glad she could join me. But yeah, we were gonna use the AWS manager. We're gonna give Space Taco view process in there. Then we're gonna have all our policies, procedures. We're gonna have our evidence in there. Let's look at the evidence page real quick. She was late, but it's all good. Look at the evidence page. Boom. So Space Tacos can look at our 359 compliant evidence, look at our 2,156 evidence we used to come up with that 350, how many we have active. You see right there at the bottom, that's a HIPAA assessment. We should name it so it's easy to understand. Here's our dashboard. We got 10 of the 88 in the log monitoring, have a finding, 10 out of 16 too. Then when we drill into the red, it's going to pull out that 2,157. Would that be a cloud log file, API log file, configuration of S3 bucket? It's going to tell you why that's an error, and it's going to pull up the evidence to show you why it's non-compliant. All right, so that's going to drill down. It's going to tell you why it's non-compliant. Here's one's better. That was the PCI one. All right, so when space tacos come in, we got the PCI DS. We got our total evidence, file in the S3 bucket. We can tell her what to look for our assessment, and we can have the two is right. It's got the custom where we're going to put our policies, procedures, our standard operating procedures in there, our MOUs, our architectural diagrams, right? They be all in one place. So Space Taco, as an auditor, can easily check those out. And this is part of our continuous compliances are going to make that happen, right? The API gateway, Lambda, some code. You see audit monitor down there at 5. SNS is going to shoot out emails and reports to auditors, assessors. And if it's big enough, right, it might go to the CIO because now we done breached our fiduciary responsibility because we're not FedRAMP and compliant because we have like 10 Cat 1 findings, right? They could take your ATO from that, right? So you want to run it up to the CIO to figure out what's happening. Somebody not doing their job, right? So that's me picking on Space Taco. Shout out to her, but that's how we get our audit information. And shout out to my man. We're going to start living on that so we can see it. I feel you. I don't get on buses anymore. Shout out to that. I'm in Indiana's kind of, it's drive friendly. It's not. And two, I work remote. I don't even put on real clothes anymore. Shout out to me. Good evening. Shout out to Dr. Finesse. Definitely one of the new subscribers. Not quite day one, but definitely supporting BPO, PBO, and he reaches out and if he needs anything. Yeah, happy hump day. So I dropped the link if anybody wants to come up. That was the Discord into Simply Cyber. I'm usually in the GRC for life. If you're trying to find me, or a GRC study hall. A lot of people know if you DM me directly, I usually give you like 15, 20 minutes. Dr. Finesse can validate that. We've talked a couple times. So PBO's divorced. Don't nobody want me. So I usually have a little time have the time for the people. I'm not driving in Manhattan. Facts. I agree with you. I didn't know you were in New York. I guess I didn't know you were in Manhattan. Shout out to you. Yeah, I ain't trying to go to New York. Somebody offered me a job. I was looking at a one-bed studio. It was like $5,000. I'm like, nah, PBO, I ain't never coming to New York to work. You're going to have to let me get that remote. You're going to have to let me get that remote, player. PBO ain't going to pay no broom closet for $5,000. Nah, man. I'm in Indiana. It don't work like that. No, shout out to Space Tacos. But, too, they're supposed to do that congestion tax, right? If you drive in there, they're supposed to drive you a tax for congestion of the street. I was looking at they trying to get that online now. PBO ain't doing that. PBO don't put on clothes anymore. PBO just work in his pajamas. Shout out to me. I shouldn't be saying that. Shout out to me. But I'm out. Everybody have a happy hump day. PBO about to lay down, take a nap, and get back to work. I want to thank everybody for joining me. Come and check out my course. But I'm for the people. Cybersecurity for the people. So, we still going to be doing a lot of stuff on YouTube for free. PBO know, it's tight out here. It's hard out here. Everybody ain't got that six-figure job. People talk about six figures like water. Only like 17% of the population makes six figures. So I don't want to be in NYC. No disrespecting, but it's not. Nah, facts. No. Yeah, I heard that. I heard they put it on hold. Yeah, they got the cameras up, though. One of my other YouTubers, they were showing the cameras. Larry, as a New Jersey resident, I always say anybody a place to visit. Yeah, I think I'm going to visit. I'm going to jump on the tour buses and go around, man. They show people getting robbed while eating dinner, man. I don't know about that. Oh, shout out to the team replay. If you need me, Space Taco, just at me. Go definitely check her out. She's got her on Discord. I'm usually in there. Yep, shout me out on 2x speed. I know that has to sound crazy as quick as I talk. Shout out to 2x speed. I'm like you. I listen to a lot of AWS event stuff. Shout out to their re-events coming up. We're definitely going to look at some of those together. They usually have some cool compliance stuff. But, we definitely going to look at some of those together. Shout out to their re-events coming up. We're definitely going to look at some of those together. We're definitely going to look at some of those together. Shout out to their re-events coming up. We're definitely going to look at some of those together. They usually have some cool compliance stuff. I'm getting more into architecture. I think as a security architect and engineer, I need to understand architecture, especially in AWS, how you configure stuff, being that 3-tier, everybody service Lambda. And a big thing for me in 2025 is Kubernetes and Docker containers. I'm definitely weak on that. So I appreciate you, Larry. I'm out. Everybody have a nice hump day. Holidays coming up. Let's get ready for the holidays and enjoy. And peace and blessings. That's all I got. I'm out, Professor Black Ops. Have a great day. Oh, let's see what Space Pocket. If you're GRC curious, please visit. Yep. She has a lot of labs too. Shout out to Space Taco. She's probably had one of the most labs I've seen in the Discord. And I need to get my lab game up to where she's at. 0 resource, but 0 activity. Yep, shout out to her. We got to get it active. You said you didn't want it too active. Shout out to Space Taco. She said you didn't want it too active, but she definitely has some labs. You're welcome, Space Taco. So you too, if you go in any one of those and you at me, Professor Black Ops, that'll give me the red dot, the bat signal. I usually come in. Or if I'm late, Space Taco will hit me up. PBO, go check this out right here. Oh, got it. So I'm on. People help me. I'm out once again, Professor Black Ops. Let's go on this GRC journey together. Once again, I'm doing course with Dr. Ozier and his ecosystem. Shout out to him. He invited me in. Hopefully y'all take it, but I understand it's hard out here. Those certs and courses can get kind of pricey. The cool thing is I'm trying to give you about 30 hours, and I'm going to try to give you, I'm going to give you some labs and some quizzes. And the other thing I'm going to do that I don't think a lot of course, and shout out to Ozier, he's too busy. I'm going to be in a Discord running labs for my course, asking questions for my course, and just trying to make it a little more on active. I actually might do a online part of the course where I do something every 2 weeks and do a live course as part of the course. So I'm thinking about doing that, something different. Shout out to the people. Shout out to the community. Once again, I'm out. PBO, he about to take a nap and get back to work. Everybody have a great day and a great holiday. Shout out to Thanksgiving. It's almost here. Have a great night. I'm here. Shout out to Dr. Finex. I see you.